Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a fascinating topic.
it is. It's ego depletion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you guys sent in some really interesting stuff for this one, like
Absolutely.
academic papers, even parts of books.
Yeah, we've got some great material to work with here.
I know. I'm really excited to jump into this and really figure out what this whole thing is about.
It really seems to resonate with people.
I think so.
You know, just that feeling that sometimes you have limited willpower.
Yeah.
Throughout the day.
Totally. You're like, I'm going to eat so healthy today.
Right.
And then 4 o'clock rolls around and you're like, where's the chips?
I need that chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. So
To kind of kick things off,
yeah,
let's just clarify what ego depletion is.
okay.
So essentially, it's this idea that self-control, our ability to resist impulses and make good choices,
Yeah.
it's a finite resource.
It's
like a muscle that gets tired after you use it too much.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So is there research on this? What do we actually know?
Oh, yeah, tons.
Okay.
Actually, one of the most famous studies was done by Baumeister and his colleagues.
Okay.
And they did this really clever experiment
Okay.
where they had participants resist the temptation to eat these delicious chocolate chip cookies.
Oh.
Instead, they had to eat radishes.
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 That sounds awful.
Right. Talk about a willpower challenge.
Yeah.
So then after this willpower challenge, they
Uh-huh.
gave them this really difficult puzzle to solve.
Okay.
And the people who ate the radishes gave up on the puzzle much sooner than those who had the cookies.
Wow. So just resisting the cookies drained them?
That's the idea.
Wow.
Yeah, and this study really kind of kicked off a ton of research into ego depletion.
Hmm.
What's really fascinating is that it's not just about resisting food.
Right.
It can affect all sorts of things.
Oh.
From our ability to focus and control our emotions.
Interesting to even how we perceive time
Really?
and how we interact with others.
So this isn't just resisting that extra piece of cake or,
Yeah.
Going for a run when you don't want to.
Yeah.
This is
It affects everything.
it affects everything.
It affects our work, our relationships,
Wow.
pretty much every area of life.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, we're constantly making decisions and resisting this and that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It leaves us vulnerable to making those bad choices.
Totally. I mean, that's why by the end of the day, I'm just whatever.
Exactly. Give me all the things.
Yeah. But I've also heard that
Yeah.
there's some research that says maybe it's not
As strong as we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this a thing or is this not a thing?
Well, yeah, it's true that some studies haven't been able to replicate those original findings.
Okay.
And that's actually a good thing. It means that scientists are being really rigorous.
And questioning their own assumptions.
Of course.
But that doesn't mean that ego depletion isn't real.
Yeah.
It just highlights how complex human behavior is.
Right.
And that we need to be doing more research.
So it's not just willpower.
Right.
There's other things going on, like our motivations. And
Absolutely. There's so many factors.
all the things.
It's like a puzzle
Yeah.
with a lot of different pieces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this is making me think about, what can we do about this?
That's the big question.
Yeah. If our willpower is limited, how do we manage it?
Yeah. How do we make those good choices even when we're feeling depleted?
Right.
So first of all, I think we need to be aware of it.
Okay.
Just understanding how ego depletion works can help us make more informed decisions throughout the day.
So what?
So, for example, let's say you have a really important meeting in the afternoon.
Okay.
Well, you might want to try and avoid making a lot of demanding decisions in the morning so you have more willpower.
So you're not using it all up in the morning.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's
It's like budgeting.
yeah,
Yeah.
like willpower budgeting.
Power budgeting.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I like it.
Another thing you can do is just try to minimize
Okay.
how many decisions you have to make
Okay.
throughout the day.
So meal prepping and
Exactly.
right.
Meal prepping, laying out your clothes the night before,
okay.
having a routine.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just to kind of streamline things.
Yeah, because then you're not using all that energy up.
Exactly. You're saving your mental energy
Yeah.
for the things that matter most.
I like that.
Yeah, and then of course there's the obvious,
Yeah.
taking care of yourself, getting enough sleep,
Yeah.
managing your stress,
All the things.
eating nutritious foods.
It's funny you mentioned food because I am kind of hungry.
Yeah, me too. A little brain fuel never hurts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to this
Sounds good.
in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so before the break, we were talking about all these strategies for managing ego depletion,
Right.
like being self-aware and all that.
Yeah.
But like, what about when you have to push through?
Yeah.
Like when you have a deadline
Right.
or like a really tough conversation.
I think that's where motivation comes in.
Okay.
Self-control isn't just willpower.
Ah.
It's also having a clear sense of why you're doing what you're doing.
So if you're really motivated, you can like push through it.
Yeah, you can tap into that energy and determination.
Like a reserve tank?
Exactly. Think about a time when you were really passionate about a project.
Yeah.
You were probably way more focused.
Totally. Like when I'm excited about something, it's like effortless.
Exactly. But what about when you're not really feeling motivated?
Yeah, like what if I have to do something I don't want to?
Well, in those cases, I think it's helpful to connect that task to your values
Okay.
or to a larger goal.
So like if I don't want to clean my house,
Like-
I can be like, well, a clean house is good for my mental health.
Exactly. Or if you're procrastinating on a work project,
Right.
remind yourself that finishing it will help you get that promotion.
Okay, so it's like you're finding the bigger why.
The bigger why, exactly.
I like that, but what if?
Yeah.
Like what if that's not enough?
Yeah.
Like I'm just wiped.
Well, remember that glucose connection
Oh, yeah.
that we talked about?
Yeah. So does that mean I should just eat a bunch of sugar?
Not exactly.
Okay.
While sugar might give you a temporary boost,
Okay.
it's not really a sustainable strategy.
So what should I do?
Well, you need to keep your blood sugar stable.
Okay. How do I do that?
It's all about making smart food choices.
Okay.
Focusing on those complex carbs and protein,
Right. The good stuff.
the good stuff, and also eating regular meals and snacks.
So I'm not getting angry.
Exactly. So it's not just what you eat,
Uh-huh.
it's when you eat it too.
Makes sense.
And of course, it's not just food. It's also about getting enough sleep, managing your stress.
Okay. So it's like real self-care.
Real self-care.
Not just like face masks and bubble baths.
Yeah, it's about giving your brain and body what they need
To function.
to function. Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about motivation and managing our energy and making good choices.
Right.
But are there other things we can do?
To strengthen our willpower.
Yeah.
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Some of the research is starting to look at willpower differently.
Okay.
Traditionally we thought of it as this limited resource
Yeah.
that gets depleted like a muscle.
Right.
But now some scientists are saying
Okay.
that maybe willpower is more like a skill.
Wait, so you're saying it's not like my phone battery?
Not exactly.
Right.
It's more like something you can develop and strengthen.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, so it's based on this idea
Okay.
that just like any other skill, like playing an instrument or learning a language, right?
Willpower can be improved with training
Okay.
and consistency.
So instead of thinking I only have this much,
Right.
I can be like, no, I can make this stronger.
Exactly. It's flexible. It's adaptable.
That's really empowering. But how do we do that?
Well, there are a lot of different approaches.
Okay.
One that's getting a lot of attention is mindfulness training.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Like, how does that actually help?
So mindfulness is all about paying attention
Okay.
to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
It helps us become more aware of our thoughts and feelings,
Okay.
and that awareness is key to making conscious choices
Oh, I see.
rather than reacting to those impulses.
So it's like an awareness muscle.
An awareness muscle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the more aware we are of what's going on inside,
Uh-huh.
the better we are at handling those urges and distractions.
So I can see the temptation coming and I can choose
Yeah,
how to
yes.
react to it.
Exactly. Instead of just reacting automatically.
Right. You pause, you observe, and you choose a different path.
Wow. And there's research on this.
Yeah. Research shows that even short periods of mindfulness
Okay.
can have a big impact on our self-control.
Well, that's good to know, because I was thinking I have to, like, go live in a monastery.
You don't have to become a Zen master.
Okay, phew.
Even a few minutes a day can make a difference.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Are there other ways?
To train your willpower muscle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. There are a ton. And many of them are actually pretty simple.
Okay, I'm listening.
So one thing is to start small.
Okay.
So instead of trying to change everything at once,
Right.
just pick one small habit.
Okay.
You want to change
So like micro goals for willpower.
micro goals, yes.
Okay.
So maybe you want to drink more water every day, or go for a walk, or cut back on social media.
So small steps.
Small steps, big impact.
Big impact. I like that.
So by starting small, you build confidence and momentum.
And then you can do bigger things.
Exactly. It's like building willpower endurance,
Step at a time.
one step at a time. Another helpful tip is to create a supportive environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like, what does that mean?
So surround yourself with people who encourage you.
Okay.
Remove those temptations.
So like, if I'm trying to stop eating junk food,
Yeah.
get it out of the house.
Get it out of the house.
Okay.
Make those healthy choices easy.
So set myself up for
To
success.
set yourself up for success. Exactly. And finally, remember self-compassion.
Okay.
We all make mistakes,
Especially when we're hungry.
especially when we're hungry. So instead of beating yourself up,
Right.
treat yourself with kindness.
So it's like, okay, I messed up, but I'm going to learn from it.
Exactly. View those setbacks as opportunities for growth.
Okay. So it's not a failure, it's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience.
Exactly.
But this whole thing has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
I used to think that willpower was like this thing that some people have
Right.
and some people don't.
But it's really a skill we can all learn.
It's a skill we can develop.
Yeah.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
I like that. So we're always learning and growing.
Always learning and growing.
This has been incredible.
It has.
We've learned so much
So much about willpower and motivation.
on all the things.
The mind-body connection.
Yeah.
I think the big takeaway is that self-control.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about progress.
I like that.
It's about understanding your limitations.
Okay.
Embracing those imperfections.
Yeah.
And just trying to be better.
So like willpower 2.0.
Willpower 2.0. Yes.
And you don't have to do it alone.
No. There's so many resources out there.
Strategies.
Yeah, strategies, and even just simple little hacks.
Hacks.
Yeah.
So find what works for you.
Find what works for you.
And just keep learning and growing.
Keep learning and growing.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing to think that something as complex as like self-control
Yeah.
can be broken down into these like,
Yeah, it's really practical.
yeah. I'm curious,
Yeah.
with all this talk of ego depletion and motivation,
Yeah.
what do you think people get wrong about willpower?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that it's just about being tough.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like having this really strong will.
If you don't have willpower, you're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah, they blame themselves.
Right.
When they can't resist something or they don't stick to their goals.
Right.
But like we've been talking about, willpower is way more complex than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
It's not just about being tough.
Right, so it's not our fault.
It's not your fault.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what should we be doing instead of blaming ourselves?
Well, I think it's about shifting our mindset.
Okay.
You know, instead of being so self-critical,
Yeah.
we need to be more self-compassionate.
Okay, so understanding.
Yeah, just recognizing that we're all human.
Yeah.
We all have limitations.
And we all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes, especially when our glucose is low. So yeah, instead of beating yourself up,
Yeah.
be kind to yourself.
So it's like you mess up, but you learn from it.
You learn from it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You view these like setbacks as opportunities to grow.
You're like, okay, I ate the whole bag of chips.
Right.
But next time, I'll just have a handful.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not a failure, it's a learning moment.
It's a learning moment.
I like that. This has been a real eye-opener.
Yeah.
I'm like completely rethinking my approach to this whole willpower thing.
It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and it's not just this mysterious thing
Right.
that you either have or you don't.
Exactly.
It's something we can all learn.
We can all work on it.
Yeah, and it's like a journey.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
You're always growing and changing.
I love that.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening who's like, all right, I want more willpower,
Yeah.
what's like your one piece of advice?
I would say just pay attention to your patterns.
Okay.
You know, when do you feel most depleted?
Okay.
What are your triggers? What helps you feel in control?
So once you know that, then you can
start experimenting with different techniques.
yeah, be your own willpower detective.
Do your own willpower detective. Yes.
I love it.
It's a fun experiment.
And just remember to be patient.
Yes. Patience is key.
You're not going to figure it out overnight.
You're not going to figure it out overnight.
Right.
It takes time.
This has been so great.
Yeah, this was a good one.
We've explored the science behind ego depletion,
Yes, we did.
learned about the power of motivation,
Absolutely.
and we even got some tips.
Yeah, some actionable tips.
Yeah. So I hope everyone listening feels ready to take control.
Of their willpower.
Yes. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and
Keep diving deep.
keep diving deep.